If your body is exhausted, but your mind won't stop at night, this isn't overthinking. It's your brain trying to protect you, even when there's nothing to fear. It's late. The lights are off. The room is quiet in that deep, familiar way. Your body feels heavy, a tired body ready to let go. Your muscles soften into the bed, as if they've been waiting for this moment all day. But your mind begins to move. Thoughts start appearing, not all at once, but one after another. Racing thoughts at night, nighttime overthinking. That familiar feeling where your mind won't stop at night, even though you desperately want it to. For many people, this is what nighttime anxiety feels like. And sometimes it feels intense. Intense enough to make sleep feel far away. Intense enough to make the night feel longer than it should. But here's the part that often gets missed. At night, your brain doesn't experience quiet the same way your body does. Your body hears silence as rest, but your mind hears space as space. And when the external world slows down, the internal world becomes louder. The brain is a prediction machine. All day long, it scans for patterns, problems, unfinished loops. It notices what wasn't said, what wasn't finished, what might happen next. During the day, noise and movement compete with these signals. Life distracts the system. Tasks, voices, light, motion. But at night, in a quiet night space, there's nothing left to compete with your thoughts. So the anxious mind at night fills the silence. This is why anxiety feels worse at night, not because you're weaker, not because you suddenly changed, but because your mind is finally alone with itself. And when your brain senses uncertainty, it shifts into alert mode. Not panic, not fear, just vigilance, a quiet readiness, a system staying slightly awake just in case. This is mental safety at work, even if it doesn't feel comforting yet. And this is where nighttime anxiety quietly begins. Your nervous system doesn't understand clocks. It doesn't know what bedtime means. It doesn't recognize the hour or the darkness or the fact that the day is over. It only knows one question. Is it safe right now? And if the answer isn't clear, the system stays awake. That's why calming your mind at night isn't about forcing thoughts away. It's not about fighting the mind. It's about understanding why they're there. Late-night overthinking isn't a failure to relax. It's your brain trying to finish its job in the only quiet space it has. A space with no interruptions, no demands, only stillness. And in that stillness, the mind speaks. You might be thinking, my day wasn't that bad. Nothing dangerous is happening. So why does my anxiety before bedtime feel so strong? This confusion is incredibly common. Nighttime anxiety doesn't need a visible trigger. It responds to unresolved signals, not obvious threats. Small things, lingering things, unanswered emails, unspoken worries, old memories that never fully left, future uncertainties that haven't arrived yet. Your brain doesn't label them as minor. It simply labels them as unfinished. And unfinished things are what the mind returns to when everything else becomes quiet. So when the night gets still, the mind steps forward to review them.
Not because you wanted to, not because you invited it, but because the brain is searching for closure before rest. This is why bedtime anxiety often feels irrational, but it isn't random. Your system is trying to create completion before letting go. And this explains why just relax never works, because relaxing requires a sense of safety first. And safety is something the nervous system decides, not something you can command. Here's the gentle shift that happens when this clicks. When you stop seeing nighttime anxiety as an enemy, your relationship with the night changes. The room begins to feel like a quiet nighttime space instead of a battlefield. The darkness feels softer. The silence feels less like pressure and more like openness. Your thoughts feel less threatening, even if they're still there. Mental relaxation before bed doesn't arrive as silence. It arrives as permission. Permission to let thoughts pass without solving them. Permission to rest without fixing everything. This is nighttime mental rest. Not sleep yet, just rest. A small lowering of intensity, a softening. Because your mind won't stop at night, not because it's broken, but because it hasn't been acknowledged yet. And when the mind feels heard, it softens. And this is where the night starts to feel different. Many people describe the same moment. You lie down, you breathe out. The day's finally over. And suddenly your mind begins listing everything, not loudly, quietly. What if? Did I? Tomorrow. In that moment, the body is ready for sleep support, but the mind is still working. This doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means your brain associates night with reflection. Over time, the bed becomes a place of thinking instead of resting. Not because you trained it badly, but because it was the only space where thinking was allowed. All day you carry things forward. At night, the mind finally turns back. Understanding this brings nighttime comfort. You're not broken, you're consistent. And consistency is something the brain understands very well. Let's gently frame what's happening. At night, 3 things come together: silence, stillness, memory. Silence removes distractions. Stillness amplifies sensation. Memory fills the gap. And the brain interprets this combination as a time for review. This is why racing thoughts feel louder in bed than anywhere else. Because the night is spacious. Because the world has stopped moving, and the mind notices itself more clearly. But here's the calming part. The brain doesn't need answers to rest. It needs predictability. A steady rhythm. A calm nighttime narration. Even a familiar, soothing male voice creates that rhythm. Rhythm signals safety, not by solving anxiety,
but by offering something steady to hold on to. Slow-spoken narration. A deep, calm male voice. A consistent presence. These aren't distractions, they're anchors. They create a quiet night space where the nervous system can soften, where the mind doesn't have to grip so tightly. This is how people begin to wind down at night, without forcing anything. And once the system feels steady, sleep often follows on its own. During the day, your brain is busy reacting. At night, it becomes reflective. That's why nighttime overthinking feels deeper. That's why bedtime anxiety feels more personal. But depth doesn't mean danger. It means your mind finally has room. Calm Night's Lab exists in this space. Not to push sleep, not to demand calm, but to offer mental safety. A calm bedtime voice. A quiet presence. A reminder that you don't have to solve the night. You only have to move through it. Slowly, gently, one moment at a time. If this experience feels familiar, if nighttime anxiety has been intense, if your mind races when the world goes quiet, know this: your brain isn't betraying you. It's protecting you in the only way it knows how. And understanding that is often the first moment of calm. If this helped you feel even slightly more at ease tonight, stay here with Calm Night's Lab. We'll keep exploring these nights together, slowly, quietly, and without pressure. Good night.